At age 55, after 37 years in corporate life, I retired after several years planning. Let me tell you how I did it. Hi, this is Simon from Salary to Side Hustle. And after several years being fed up in my job, I'm going to tell you how I developed a multi-year plan, which was effectively my escape tunnel. It goes back to 2015 when I first started getting fed up with my job. We'd had a bit of a restructure where I was, and it wasn't the job it was before. My first escape plan was running. I got hooked on running completely, ended up running marathons all over the world, and it was a really good distraction. But then as I got older, I started realizing that potentially I could really start to focus on more of an escape plan completely from corporate life rather than the distraction, which is what running was, however much I enjoyed it. So by 2020, this feeling had gone from being sort of level anxiety to a real sense of stress that was affecting me outside of work. And I decided I needed to do something about that. And effectively that spurred me on to produce what was a 5-year plan that is now come to fruition. So really I'd always been focused on work to live, not live to work. I've always had huge numbers of interests outside of work, and the older I got, it didn't really change. I ended up in a senior role in the organization I was in, but really I got most of my fulfillment outside of work rather than in work. So I decided to act on that and get to the position where I had more time inside work than outside work. Now, it's a bit tricky underfoot, this section, so I'm doing a little bit of balancing and talking, which is a new skill I've got to learn. There we go. This is a smoother section now. So it really started with quite a detailed conversation with my wife, Lisa, who we've been married now for 27 years, and it needed to be a joint decision. So we had a really very focused conversation on it. Is this realistic? Is it what we want? How can we make it happen? And once we'd realized that the potential was there, I started working on all the details and seeing if when we really dug into it, it actually, as a plan, held together. Let's get into that plan now, but first, if you're enjoying this video and this channel is something that interests you, then please do like and subscribe. There's lots more coming. I've really only just started my YouTube journey, and I want to be able to share with everybody the sort of the knowledge I've built up over the last several years, and just to share my journey as I transitioned from my corporate job into a retired life. My other main video so far has been about my first month of retirement, and I've had quite a lot of positive feedback, but also there's a lot of people who, because of how active my retirement is, don't really consider it retirement. So I'd like to talk about that as well, but let's go into the plan now. So as I said, I'm 55 now. My career is behind me, and from that I ended up with 5 pensions. The first one was a very small pension that I invested from when I was very young, but it was very small amount. I'd have done more if I had the financial knowledge I've got now. The next 2 were again quite small from when I was an IT engineer, and those 3 are all ones I intend to cash in. The other 2 pensions, and I have a 6th one, which is the state pension. They're defined contribution pensions, and they're very good pensions because fundamentally you know what you're going to get when you start to draw them. So one of those was from Heathrow Airport, and one of those was from my last job. So really that's the 6 pensions, and they will form the backbone of what will keep me going, obviously, towards getting my pensions, and also the period now, which I'm calling the bridge. So fundamentally it's bridging the period from now until I can start taking those pensions. And the first of the defined benefit ones I can take in when I'm 60. So in just under 5 years, sorry, just under 4.5 years time. And then the next one comes in 2 parts, one at 65 and one at 67. So they will form very much the backbone of my financial survival in my retirement. And the plan needed to bridge the period from now, when I'm 55, to the period when I'm 60. And that's what I put all of my sort of planning and effort into. So I'll tell you a bit about that now. So as our careers progressed and we climb the career ladder a little bit. We started earning more, but we, for whatever reason, we're just naturally savers rather than spenders. So our spending didn't go up, and we ended up with a surplus each month. And that's kind of told us what the baseline for us as we move from work into retirement is. And effectively, it needs half of the money we got when we were employees to make sure that we can live comfortably. So that's the target. And effectively, what we need to do is to make sure we've got that much money accessible over the next 5 years as we go from not earning or go into not earning rather, from a position where we've both been employed for decades, which is going to be an interesting period. But I've been putting a lot of work into the planning to understand how those numbers would stack up and where those investments were needed. And that's what I'll talk about now. But zooming all the way out, what we've done over the last 5 years, we've spent half of our salaries each month and we've put the rest of it away. So that's 5 years of saving, and I've got a 5-year gap to fill. So the plan in essence is quite simple, but it doesn't mean that when we get to 60, the money goes up. It goes up at 60 and then it goes up again at 65 and 67. So there is more to this than just kind of a 5-year saving to then become a 5-year spend. It is more layered than that. But it's starting to rain here in what can be a beautiful sunny Samford Moor, but not today. So I will beat to retreat and complete this video from home. There we are, all cozy back at home now. And the other advantage of this is I can flash up a couple of images that'll make a bit more sense of me just rabbiting on about the various numbers. So let's talk about what we've got invested so far. And at this point, I'm going to talk in percentage terms. So as you can see from the donut, we've got about 60% in ETFs. And they are exchange traded funds, and the idea behind those is that rather than buying individual stocks, which could be amazing or equally could become really poorly performing, you buy the market. That doesn't remove many of the fluctuations, but it does smooth them out a bit. So if Donald keeps putting on more and more tariffs and the market tanks a bit, you kind of spread that across companies that are affected by those tariffs a lot and companies that are affected by them less. So it smooths things out, but it is still stocks and shares, so that is risky. And then for a bit of fun, I've got some dividend stocks. I've subscribed on Trading 212 to a number of pies, as they're called, where you get dividends come through regularly. The numbers are quite small, so they're only little dividends, but they're quite nice to see. And they don't really form part of any grand plan, but it was just nice to have that rather than the ETFs, which kind of sit there and either go up or down, but don't do much else. And just quickly back to those ETFs, as you can see on the right of the image, we've got a mixture of the S&P 500, the FTSE 100, some European stocks, and then a worldwide portfolio as well. And then I've got quite a lot tied up in cash. So I've got about 23% of the portfolio in fixed term, high interest cash savings. And as long as interest rates stay reasonably high, I'll continue to do that. And then we've got 10% as the rainy day fund that is sitting there that will keep us afloat for a number of months in the event that we have all sorts of unexpected financial challenges. And then again, a bit more of the fun part, we've got 2% in crypto. I invested probably about 4 years ago, so it's actually gone up quite nicely, but it's not ridiculous like some people have seen. But I guess overall the money is probably doubled in that. But again, that's more for fun than anything significant. So that's a summary of the pot that's available, and that needs to initially see us through to me getting to 60. At which point I can then start to take my Heathrow Airport pension, but that is fairly modest. I was only there as a permanent employee for a few years, not a long-term period of employment. And then the approach we're trying to take is to protect those ETFs and to a lesser extent the dividend stocks. So we will be accessing the cash reserves whilst keeping that rainy day fund to begin with. My wife also will take a lump sum from her pension. She worked at British Airways for quite a while, so that will help. That will certainly bridge some of the gap. So overall, it's spend down the cash, keep the rainy day fund, and then if needed, start to eat into those ETFs and the dividend stocks. But because stocks and shares are a long-term investment, we're trying to protect those to later into our retirement. Now, as per the name of the channel, Salary to Side Hustle, there is a side hustle element to the retirement planning as well. And primarily that is through a thing called Amazon Kindle Direct Publishing, which is where you create books, you upload them to Amazon, and then Amazon do basically all the fulfillment and the tricky stuff like dispatch and handling customers as well. So I've been doing that now for just over 2 years, and I've managed to build it up to a profit of about £1,500 a month. But when I started out, I wasn't particularly hot on understanding whether I was doing books that would lead to my account being terminated, and that actually happened in about month 3. So whilst this is really nice, and £1,500 a month is a great pension in its own right, it's not part of the plan at all. It could at any time dry up. Amazon could terminate the account, at which point any revenue, any royalties they owe you, they keep, you don't get. Or it might be that AI leads to such a disappointing experience for customers that people start to move away from Amazon or just independently published books in general. So that's really nice to have, but I'm literally not banking on that being part of any of our longer term retirement plans. And if you want to see the detail of any of that, I'm going to be doing a regular monthly income report. I realise that won't be that interesting to some proportion of the subscribers, and thank you to everyone who has subscribed to the channel so far. It's been amazing to see the numbers go up. So that'll be coming once a month in the first week or two of every month, so you can track how I'm doing with that side hustle. As other side hustles evolve, it will also turn into a broader income report across all of them, assuming there is any other income source than KDP as we go forward. And then, as promised, just a quick comment on active retirement versus retirement. I've had some feedback that I'm not really retired because my wife's still working, or I'm doing side hustles, and effectively I've just become a grifter now. And it's really not how it feels to me. I mean, they're valid positions, everybody is entitled to their own opinion. But for me, I think retirement is an individual thing. Regardless of what my wife is doing, fundamentally I have left my corporate job now. The majority of my week is now leisure time. I am putting some hours into these side hustles, but effectively they're my hobbies now rather than work, and it's all done on my own terms. So for me, I see myself as very much retired. Yeah, thanks everyone to all the comments, and as I said earlier, please like and subscribe if you've enjoyed this video for more content in the future. So that was Simon from Salary to Side Hustle, and bye for now.